not a writer.
Okay.
For those who
what we do here is go back.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Boy, I am shot out of a cannon tonight. I'm going to tell you that right now. Woo, boy. So much. The reason why I'm shot out of a cannon is because I just had to scare my freaking life. So this little guy right here, this little damn sign, right? I got him plugged in, and he fell, and I wasn't watching it, and popped me off like a firework. I'm telling you right now. But hey, welcome to the Child of Mecha stream. We're gonna have a good one tonight. Let's have some fun. Let's get lively. Let's talk. Let's learn. Let's entertain. All that good shit that you all are tuning in for. Let's go. Let's do this. Welcome. Thank you for watching. If you're watching, thank you for subscribing. If you're subscribing, following, etc., and all that good stuff. I see the usual suspects over here in the chat. And we got Facebook working tonight. So hello, everyone on Facebook. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for watching. I know Streamlabs and Facebook, I don't know, they screwed me on Wednesday. I don't know how it happened for you guys, but hey, we're back. We're on Facebook again. We're simul streaming all the way around. Like I said, I'm shot out of a cannon tonight. And let's talk to these people in the chat. Let's talk to the usual suspects. We got, man, GamerBud going through some stuff right now, everybody. GamerBud over on the YouTube, he says, man, sorry I missed Wednesday's stream. Had to be taken to the hospital for a damn kidney stone. Blocked him up, got an infection, but he's good now. He'll get out of the hospital tomorrow. Damn. Come on, dude. Crazy. And number one, look, GamerBud, thank you for watching. Number two, never apologize for missing a stream. Number three, you're in a damn hospital, dude. Don't. Just, you're good, man. You're good. Junk Guild says, hi. What's going on, Junk Guild? Thank you for watching. William Wilms is out there. Alex Andrews, Bailey, Saravon Zero, he's over there on good old Twitch. Thank you for watching, Saravon. Awesome. Good stuff. Trying to watch my mouth, guys. I don't know. Maybe kids are watching. I don't know. Maybe my kids are watching. She's 10. She hears this crap all the time, though, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, she knows better because she's awesome. And you guys saw her on Wednesday having fun. And so on Wednesday, she was rocking the hat, but today I'm rocking the shirt. This beautiful Mecha in script. It's the blackout shirt. If you guys like this shirt, man, go pick it up on Child of Mecha store. We got one that says Gundam. We got also one that says Xeon in the same script, blackout. That's the name of the game. It's so classic, so nice looking. Pick it up. It's amazing. You guys will love it. Trust me, this is my favorite shirt out of all my shirts that I wear. This is my favorite shirt. So go pick it up. Child of Mecha store. We got a bunch of other cool stuff over there. It's awesome. So check that out. Second point of business is if you see me working with tools tonight that you are unfamiliar with or not sure where to get, there's a little itty-bitty Amazon link just below that links to a page that I have curated and sourced all of these tools and stuff out for you already, so you don't have to go searching or maybe pick up the wrong one, or just maybe you're not aware of a tool that's out there. Maybe you're just not familiar with it. All these tools are on there, except for the kind of weird ones, like the chisels and stuff like that. You can't get in the U.S. all that easily, except for maybe on USA Gundam Store, Volks, places like that. Am I talking too fast? I think I'm talking too fast. I feel like I'm talking too fast. And no, it's not coffee or speed or anything like that. It's just pure shit-scaring adrenaline from this damn thing falling behind me just moments before we went live. So that's kind of why I'm like, woo, amped. That'll fade, I have a feeling. But we're still going to have a good time. It's still going to be awesome. There's also books in that Amazon link as well. Some really cool, inspirational books. We're going to take a look at one. If you guys have been watching this week, you know it's nothing but Mech Week, so without any surprise, this is obviously going to be Volume 3. So that's going to be awesome. But man, you guys are chatting in the chat, like going crazy right now. GamerBud says he got the last of his supplies delivered. That's awesome. Tamia Putty and Metal Files. Cool. So that's waiting for him after he gets out of the hospital. Hope you feel better, brother. And he's eating it up too, man, in the hospital. Crab cakes and shrimp scampi and all that good stuff. Man, watch it now. You might end up in a hospital, deliberately wanting to get some good food and stuff like that. That'll be nuts. So really cool there. What else is going on, guys? Alex Andrews says finished his Jesta master grade. Love it. Next is the GM Sniper 2. very cool. Both kits that I am working on currently. So trust me, Alex, man, you'll love the GM Sniper 2. Very similar in build to the Jesta, the mechanics and things like that. So yeah, you'll probably really like it. Man, yeah. Bailey says, yeah, that's nice. That shows the progression of high performance RGM. So yeah, so the GM, the GM Sniper 2 to the GM, the Jesta, which is technically a GM. Let's see. Positive note. This is from GamerBud over on YouTube. He says, on a positive note, I lost another 10 pounds from passing a kidney stone. That kidney stone was huge then, dude. Ow. Man, he surpassed a major weight loss goal. Dude, motherfucker, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. I myself am trying to get my my shit together, and I have been walking and tracking calories and all that stuff, and I'm down like 10 pounds. So I'm feeling good. All that, so really cool, man. Really cool. That's, dude. Everybody, I don't care where you're watching or what you're doing right now. Let's give GamerBud a nice round of applause for that, because that's big. That's good stuff, man. Let's see, William Wilms, Alex, both of those kits are awesome kits. Yes, they are. Referring to the Jesta and the GM Sniper 2. Those are the ones I tell people to get if they want to build a model. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Alex Andrews says, one thing I despise about the Jesta is the hands. Yeah, the hands are like, so-so. But, man, you just got to be careful with them. You got to treat them right. You got to be, they're fragile, treat them with some love. They'll love you back, trust me. But not in that way. So Alex Andrews says, wait, Jesta's a GM? Yeah, dude. You didn't know? Check the model number. It's a GM. It's like a RGM 8797, something like that. But it's a GM. Yeah. GM. All right. Whew. How you guys feeling? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling pumped. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to do a little modeling. We're going to do a little show and tell first. I might go long because it's Friday. And I don't know about you guys, but I got a bachelor week coming up, everybody. My wife and my daughter went on vacation with the in-laws down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So they're down there. I'm at home. I'm chilling. I didn't want to go to Myrtle Beach in the middle of August. At like with it being 100 degrees outside and 200% humidity. Come on, man. Ain't nobody got time for that. Alex Andrews had to put lots of super glue on them to get them to stay in the sockets. Yeah, that's a problem with the Jesta hands. It's a little, Yeah. RGM 95X, Junk Guild, thank you, is the regular Jesta number. Yeah. Good. Let's see. It's basically the final regular size GM before the heavy gun of the F91 era. Yeah, pretty good. Alex Andrews, it's Saturday. Well, for you, yeah, man. Come on, it's still Friday for me, bro. Come on. Time zones and all, man. Time zones and all. So, with that being said, let's switch over to camera 2. There we go. And like I said, if you've been watching this week, this is nothing but Mech week. So we've got nothing but Mech 3. And I really like this edition because it went more toward the side of the technical rather than the comical, fantastical, artistic, stuff like that, creative, all that. This went more technical art, and I really, really like it. All right, so let's get started. Let's see what's what here. Inside cover, man, you got a nice little comical deal, a little basketball playing Mech with some kids. He's dunking on some kids. Nice. You got a punk rock Mech there, pretty cool. But then you've got things like this guy from, I think this is from Ben Morrow. And this was actually concept design that he did for the movie Valerian. You guys might have seen that. If you did, I'm sorry. It was a bad movie, but it was a beautiful movie. It looked good, but it was just a terrible movie. I didn't like it at all. So you got some other cool concept art. You got this nasty looking kind of space, I don't know even what to call it, drone mech ship thing by Darren Bacon there. Really, really cool. And here's another one, another good one from Aaron Beck. We've discussed him, you know, a few times in the past couple days. I mean, look at that gun, man. That gun is, that's legit, man. That's legit. Yeah, Bailey. Luke Besson. Bailey over on YouTube says Luke Besson movies are so hit and miss. Dude, they really are. They really are. I love The Fifth Element, you know, but what's up with Valerian? I had high hopes and it let me down. It was just like, eh. Anyway, this is wild. Look at this. Look at this thing. So it's got like, this thing's got like 2 sets of arms, like one monster set of arms with this huge, you know, just, you know, huge cannon, and then it's got teeny tiny baby arms with a more kind of regular sized rifle looking thing. Man, that's like definitely some Metal Gear Solid kind of Metal Gear Rex type stuff. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Really cool. Got some really neat looking kind of knight inspired mechs. And you've got some more over here on this side. Really cool stuff. We're just gonna zip through this here real quick, guys, because it's cool and all, but man, I want to get the modeling tonight. I don't know about you. This is really wild. I've seen this several different places, this concept art for this kind of flexible wing jet. Very cool. Bastian Koch is the artist. Very neat, very neat. I got some service droids and things like that here. Vitaly Bulgarov, so talented. This guy, man, if you're not following him on like Instagram or Facebook or ArtStation or something like that, it's just, you need to. You absolutely so need to. Very, very talented guy. Very talented guy. So we'll zip through here. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. So I want to stop on this one here real quick. This is from an artist named Robert Chu. And I was first came across his artwork on DeviantArt, the art site. If you guys are not familiar with that, look that up. Yeah, that was me, Alex. Sorry about that. One of my friends private messaged me, so sorry it came through. My bad. But that was me. False alarm, everybody. That wasn't you. But man, Robert Chu is so incredibly talented. He makes like these mechanized animal designs, and he's made, you know, a crazy number of them, a really good amount. Here's like the tiger, and here's some tuna mech looking things. Really, really cool. You know, he's made some art for like gazelle, like mechanized gazelles and rhinos and elephants and things. And you know, what he does is he kind of portrays them as anti-poaching mechanisms. Like they'll go out and they'll, you know, kind of get the poachers or whatever in the plains of Africa or whatever. So yeah, this dude is incredibly talented. One of my favorite artists. Definitely check him out. I'm sure he has social medias and everything out there. I just haven't been able to find them, but definitely on DeviantArt, you can follow him. Good stuff there. Let's go through this. Interesting little comical looking things. Pretty neat. These are cool. These are just line art style mechs and things. Very, very cool. These are awesome. These are just kind of way out there looking designs. I mean, you know, you think about, you know, some of the weirder mech designs out there. Just this kind of harkens back to that, if you will. And vehicles and stuff on these 2 pages. Very cool kind of humanoid mechs here and all. Zip through. Very neat. Gavril Klimov, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry. Very good stuff. Nope, just he gets one page in this one. He's been in the other Nothing But Mech books, and very, very good artist as well. Just super detailed stuff. Really great. One of my favorites there. And wow, look at this thing. Definitely like a 3D model ready for 3D print. Somewhat Gasaraki style. Are you guys familiar with Gasaraki? It was kind of like a moderately successful anime series back in the day, but man, had some wild kind of mech, kind of suit designs, the Shindens and everything. Some of my favorite designs, honestly, and you can kind of see down here, kind of the inspiration, if you will, for this particular sculpt. Very cool. Very, very cool. Wow, look at this. This is kind of more of a night steampunkish looking thing. Yeah, vaguely remember it. Bailey says he vaguely remembers it. Definitely look it up. Gasaraki. Very cool. It was an interesting, little anime. Well, it probably wasn't for everybody. It's definitely more along the lines of your Evangelion and things like that. Oh no, for the Shinden from the IBO. Nah. Well, I think Gasaraki, kind of originated the mech name Shinden. Obviously, if that I'm guessing that the words mean something else in, another language or something. But I don't honestly know off the top of my head. But yeah, so check it out, Gasaraki. You could probably find it out there. But man, here's Ben Morrow. Here's another one of this mech from the Valerian movie, and this thing is cool. There have been models made of this particular design and everything. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. He's got the big drum, filled with ammunition, everything. Just kind of nasty looking thing. And Ben gets crazy. Ben Morrow gets crazy with his designs, as you can kind of see here. Oh yeah, the gorilla. He designed that. That's insane. That's really, really cool. Look that up. Ben Morrow, everybody, if you missed the name. Very, very talented artist. We're going to keep going here. Zip through, zip through, zip through. Ian McHugh, always an interesting artist to peruse his designs and things. This is wild. Look at this whole scene of futuristic stuff going on. Pretty wild. Comical stuff. Oh, I like this. This is kind of like a Form 1 3D printer. If you guys are not familiar, Form 1 is an SLA stereolithography. I don't know. Somebody will probably know better than me, but it's basically a laser resin 3D printing machine. 3D printer, I should say. 3D printing machine. I sound like my father. So that's really, really cool. Turned him into a little robot, little cute thing. Very neat. And cool stuff here. Got your scenes, got your cool kind of jet fighter inspired by modern jets and things. Pretty neat. And Kali Wirtz, always a good artist to follow. And then you got your bios as you normal, with the links to their either website, social, stuff like that. So yeah, Nothing But Mech 3. Very fun, very cool. I love this book series. Go pick it up. You can find the links in the Amazon link at the bottom of your screen if you're on YouTube or if you're over on Facebook. So, very cool stuff. Let's check back in. Sorovan over on Twitch said, yeah, Gasaraki was very odd as far as story goes. The mecha was cool, though. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was very realistic, and that's what I dig. Bailey says, the Shinden especially and other IBO designs pull from other series pretty heavily. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But looking at the Shinden in the IBO form, comparing it to the Gasaraki Shinden, I don't know how much, if any, influence they might have had, to be honest with you, because they're very, very different designs. Very different designs. So, I don't know. You guys be the judge. Take a look at it. Look up Gasaraki. Look up Shinden, all that good stuff. Hey, Max Ortiz, thank you for the subscribe over there on YouTube. I appreciate it, and thank you for watching. That's awesome. Stop! Who's messaging me? Oh my God. People messaging me. Sorry about that, everybody. I need to mute these messages and stuff. Sorry. Let's see. Shoot. All right. I think we're good now. All right, let's see. Hey, man, Lance Gian is over there on Facebook. What book is this? That is, dude, good question, Lance. Nothing but Mech 3. Lance is a good dude. Go check him out. He's got an awesome shop down there in Australia, Robo City. Met Lance in 2016. Man, good dude. So friendly, so fun to hang around with. Him and Benny from Australia, the junior champion that I met in 2016. Such great people, man. I can't say enough about those guys, man. Salt of the earth, good dudes, man. Hey, thank you for watching, Lance. Thank you for taking a look-see and joining us here. That's awesome. I love Lance. He's good. Good people. Good people. Cyril Hottie is in the chat over on YouTube. Cyril, thank you for watching again, buddy. Saw on Twitter some guy, Kid Bash, a GM with Shinden body. Looks awesome. I bet that does. That sounds like a winner to me. I think that sounds pretty damn cool. But we're going to get to some modeling. So let's do this. All right, so I thought I was done with the leg, right? But I'm not. Little things just kind of irked me about the leg. And this little piece right here, the back kind of cowling cover right here. You know what? Let's get you guys zoomed in just a little bit here. Let's go 70 millimeters. And we'll, that way you guys can see what I'm talking about. So this piece right here, and you know, basically this covers the back, you know, the cowling where the bottom thruster comes out and everything. You know, I love what I did on top and everything, but the sides just needed something extra. So I'm going to scribe just a couple lines in there, nothing crazy. We're just going to make it nice and subtle. And to do that, though, we need to be able to duplicate that on 4 sides on the 2 pieces, right? So we got a left and right leg. So we need to be able to repeat that on both sides, on both parts. So that's 4 times over, right? And it needs to mirror. We're going to make a scribing jig for that. And I'm going to show you how, because it's super, super easy. And once you are able to do this, man, you'll probably do it with a bunch of different stuff. So what we're going to need first is we are going to need, boom, Scotch tape. I love Scotch tape because, you know, you can write on it. You can make templates out of it. You watched the other night, we made a template for the one of the side leg pieces so I could scribe that and everything. So what we're going to do is we're just going to apply this tape here. And we're going to get a rough, kind of a rough template going. We're just going to make sure that's down nice. So not necessarily just to get the bubbles out. That's, nah. What we're doing here is so I can better see the details through the tape. So you get those, if you get the bubbles and everything out, you can see the details, you know, through the tape and everything. So it doesn't obscure what's going on there. Now, what I like to do is trim this off. So I will just trim this right along the edge. Just like that. Peel that away. And hopefully it doesn't stick to your hands. It's a pain. It's annoying. What are you guys talking about here? Jay Lynch is in the house. Welcome, Jay Lynch. He's watching over there on YouTube. Thank you for watching, buddy. Let's see. Max Ortiz, what do you feel about some of the advance of Zeta? Me personally, man, I love Advance of Zeta. Not necessarily all of them, but most of them I really, really dig. Because man, Advance of Zeta, I actually saw the first, Dengeki, what was it, Dengeki Hobby? I think did Advance of Zeta? Yeah, Dengeki Hobby. I was actually subscribed to Dengeki when Advance of Zeta was first coming out, when they did their first series and everything. So, dude, I've seen it from the beginning, and I've loved every single, well, I shouldn't say every single, but most of them. There's a few stinkers in there, but man, overall, yeah, I love AOZ designs simply because, they are along the more technical aesthetic, which I like. And, they just kind of throw things together that just aren't expected. Designs and ideas and things. So I really like that. Like, the iterations of the Hazel, the Woundwort, however you want to pronounce it, all of that, the different Zetas, or I shouldn't say Zetas, different Zakus that they did iterations of, the GMs, especially the GM snipers and things that they did early on. Those are crazy cool. Some of the newer kind of reboot Advance of Zeta designs are really cool too. And they've got these massive machines that you're just like, how are they going to pull that off? Obviously they're going to be space based and everything, so they don't have to worry about gravity. But still, some of the designs are just crazy cool. That's why I like it. So good question. I dig AOZ. I really do. I dig it a lot. So, what else are you guys talking about here? Bailey says, I love AOZ. I hope we continue to get designs from it. Yeah, I hope so too. I think, for Dengeki, it's kind of I would imagine it's a moneymaker, because they get to license those designs, probably, I'm thinking, license that back to Bandai and, make some coin off of that. And then obviously they get the, digital subscriptions now because they don't have an actual magazine to subscribe to anymore. But I think they'll probably continue that on because that's been pretty popular. So we'll see. Let's see. What else are you guys talking about? Eventually, I will follow through with the GM Sniper 3 build I started 15 years ago. That's from Bailey over there on YouTube. Man, I would love to see that. The GM Sniper 3? Yeah. Let's dig that out of storage, Bailey. Let's get working on that, buddy. I want to see that. So Bailey says, yeah, Dengeki Hobby, way back in the day. Yeah, man, I'm talking like early mid 2000s. I subscribed, like the golden age, if you will, of the Japanese kind of hobby mags. Those were good times. I mean, we had Rainbow 10, and now probably most of you guys watching tonight are not familiar with a company called Rainbow 10. You know what? Boom. Let's get back and let me talk to you about Rainbow 10, because Rainbow 10 was just a great company. Well, is a great company. They're still around, but they're Japanese only. So back in the day, we had like 2 vendors here in the States, and I'm talking early 2000s, like 2000 to 2005, right? So back then, we only had really 2 vendors from Japan that we could get stuff from over there. We had HLJ, and then we had a company named Rainbow 10, or R10. And the cool thing about R10 was that you could subscribe, like legit subscribe to Japanese magazines. And it was amazing. Like, I subscribed to Hobby Japan, Dengeki Hobby, and Model Graphics, all 3 at the same time. They would come every month. I spent like $30, $35 for the subscription and everything. That's with shipping and everything over here to the States. And man, that was the highlight of my month. Getting those hobby mags. Oh, I love going through the pages and everything, and seeing the designs and seeing what people, you know, the professionals over there that working for the magazines would come up with, and it's just it was amazing. It was an amazing feeling seeing that kind of brown paper, you know, envelope stuffed with 3, you know, heavy magazines coming in the mailbox and everything. It was just a joy, right? So the way that it worked was R10 had a single person, one guy, that was able to process English orders and able to support English-speaking customers. Well, lo and behold, that guy, I guess, leaves the company or something like that. So they're completely out of luck as far as the English-speaking market goes. So they had to shut that whole part of their business down. Now, obviously, they're still around. They're still, you know, operating, I believe, in, you know, in Japan, obviously. But yeah, I just, that was such a good memory, such a good time, and I loved R10 getting those magazines. Just so much inspiration, and so much learning too, because looking through those magazines, I learned the bulk of what I'm able to do today from there, from those pictures, from those professionals that, you know, kind of paved the way, if you will. Man, such a good time. Anyway, reminiscing over. Let's see what's going on in the chat, because you guys, I know I'm looking at it and the chat's kind of racking up messages here. Barack Isaza, what's going on? He says, hey, everybody, thank you for watching, man. Appreciate that. Kenneth Sim is also here. Eventually, he says, eventually AOZ's story recently continued to Mars. Interesting. I'm not up on the whole AOZ currently, but that sounds pretty cool. Max Ortiz, a little on topic. How do people get their notches so clean? That's a great question. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. Stay tuned, Max. Stay tuned. Continue watching, because I'm going to work on scribing and some notches and stuff like that here in just a few moments after I make this scribing jig, and I'm going to show you how to do that too. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Cyril Hottie says, the Wound Word is a compilation of all the TR series. The head of the Wound Word mimics Gundam head like the TR-1 Hazel to inflict psychological warfare to the Xeon remnants. Wow. Shit just got dark. Damn. But that's cool, man. I like that. I dig it. I dig it. And then they got the crazy ornate head crests and stuff on those designs, and just really cool. Bailey says, oh, now you're racking my long-term memory. Yeah, dude, come on. We take a trip back on memory lane for just a few minutes so we can reminisce, you know? Let's see what else. Cyril Hottie says, Woundward has the firepower similar to the TR5 Haruru. I think I'm saying that right. I probably am not. Due to it having the blade rifle. Blade rifle, man, that just sounds cool. What do you got? I got a blade rifle. Just sounds cool, man. Just sounds cool. Anyway, back to 2. Boom. Okay, so what we do, we've got our tape applied, trimmed, ready to go. Now we're just gonna kind of do our little design here, right? So what I've got, I marked a line on this previously, and you guys probably can't see it because I can hardly see it through the damn tape, but I know that it kind of follows this bevel right here, and it goes a little bit beyond this one and kind of goes like that, right? So I'll show you what I mean here. Actually, we can mock it up. We can just slap this thing on here and then trace that way. But why bother? Because that line that I just drew is pretty much perfect, right? Go figure. So we'll just darken it up here a little bit. Just get the contour of everything nice and neat where we want it. So what I'm doing, since the part underneath of this side piece will never show, there's no sense in scribing anything under there. So we'll get this piece popped off here. Come on, you. Flex it back and forth. There we go. Cool. So now, I don't know, you guys might be able to see that. Focus for me, camera. There we go. You can see that pencil line a little bit when it catches the light. So that's basically our guide. This area up here is going to be our open area. So that's pretty much what we're going to have to work with in terms of creating an interesting panel line. So what I think I'm going to do is not necessarily start over here, but start down here, and kind of bring it up maybe a little bit. Let's see, what can we do here? The design for panel lines, guys, is always, without question, going to be the hardest part of the process because, like I've said on previous streams, you need to think about, the mechanics of what's underneath. Why is that panel there? Why is that access hatch there? So you need to think about that. So what I'm thinking is, obviously, this side piece will pop off, right? And then they'll need to have access to the stuff underneath. So what we'll do, let's bring up a line that's parallel to this edge here, right? So let's try to get that. There we go. Now you guys can see a little bit better of what I'm doing here in terms of the pencil work. So we're going to bring that up pretty close to that top edge, but I don't want to bring it, I don't want to keep it about 1 millimeter away because we want this to be a true side panel hatch, right? So we're going to kind of make that line parallel to that edge. Just like that, right? And actually, I'm going to pull this back. Well, I don't know. What am I going to do? Ah, okay. We're going to keep going just a little bit there. And then we're going to parallel the opposite edge. You want to try to remain a consistent amount of distance from that edge. So I'm just kind of going back and fixing what I feel is an inconsistency in that distance, right? So now we've got it, let's see, you can see that panel line starting to take shape, right? So we're going to terminate it right here. And that's where it's going to disappear. Okay? So that looks pretty good. That'll give an interesting visual when this is all painted up, primed, all that good stuff. So let's work with that, right? So the second thing we're going to need some plastic sheet here. And there's just some scrap. That's all we need. Nothing crazy. This seems to be about the perfect width that we need right here. So let's see what kind of height we need on this. Let's pull out this gauge, angle gauge here. That, since it covers it up perfectly, that's the thickness that we're going to get. Now, this is the, my metal protractor angle gauge. It has many, many uses. You can, obviously dial it into whatever, angle that you guys need, all that good stuff. So I just set it to 90 degrees, and what we're going to do is we're just going to use it as like a cutting guide here real quick. So put that off to the side, and we just need a nice straight line. So pull out the good old hobby knife here. Make sure that's parallel and right up against the edge. And it's fine if this edge is not square or straight or anything like that. Not a big deal. Obviously this side is going to be once we get this cut. So we're just going to score this once, twice, 3 times a lady. Sorry, most of you won't even remember what that's in reference to. Lionel Richie. Get some Lionel Richie in your life. You won't regret it. But anyway, we're going to throw that scrap off to the side. We've got this nice new piece now that we've cut. that is the perfect length to make our little jig here. So that's what we're going to use. So what I need to do now is just kind of square up these two sides. So we're going to do that on the chopper, right? I'm going to pull the chopper back in the frame, and now since this is our nice straight square edge, we're going to use that, and we're just going to cleanly chop off the edges here. Let's get a little bit more off of that one because that one wasn't square. Pop that, and we're going to flip it over because we don't want to turn it around because that other side isn't square and straight. We're going to pop that. Bang! Get to the chopper, Billy says. Yes, sir. Jason PS3. Nice. I love it. Hello? Is it me you're looking for? Yeah. Come on, man. Lionel Richie was the best back in the day, man. If you guys don't know about Lionel Richie, you gotta go learn. Check him out on iTunes or YouTube or something like that. Man, some classics, guys. Classics. I know a lot of you are younger. Probably don't know what I'm talking about. Just go back. Learn your history. You won't regret it, I'm telling you. All right, so now what we do, we've got these two sides nice and straight and square. We've got this side nice and straight and square. We will be cutting into this side, so that doesn't really matter right now. Really? Come on, man. Stop messaging me, people. Private messaging me. People private messaging me. You know I'm on a stream. Killing me right now. All right, so what we're going to do, let's get our piece here. We're going to pull this tape off because that's going to be our guide. Gently, gently, gently pull that off, as not to tear it or rip it or anything like that, because that will happen when you cut Scotch tape. It basically gets weak in those areas, and it can split very easily on you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to line up this bottom edge of the tape with our nice square bottom edge of this piece. We're going to try our best to line that up properly. Come on now. Scotch tape's not working with me. Pull out the visor. Let's go. Visor time, people. Visor time. All right. You're probably seeing the back of my head, so I apologize if you are. I need to see what the hell I'm doing right now. All right. I think we've got this locked in. All right. Press that down. Make sure it's nice and adhered to. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's see here. Good. Cool. All right. So that looks nice. I like it. I like it. All right. So now what we got to do, now we've got to cut this out, right? We've got to cut around our lines here. And I will show you how we do that. Easiest thing to do is use this guy, our chopper, right? So we're not going to use the stop or anything like that. We're going to clear off this other kind of scrap Dymo tape. We're going to put our part off to the side here, and we're just going to carefully, carefully, carefully line this up with the blade without actually cutting into the plastic here. So we're just going to kind of eyeball this right now. And that looks good. Let's pop that. Throw that piece off to the side. And let's see, let's get this top piece. Actually, let's go for the side piece here because I think that'll be a little bit less surface here. Now, obviously, you can do this with a metal ruler. You can do this with your hobby knife and everything as well. For me, this is just easier because I know this is straight, this is true. If I line it up and am very, very careful with it, it leaves a nice straight cut as well. So that's kind of why I'm using the chopper. But you can use it whatever method you feel comfortable with, right? So that looks good. We'll pop that. Damn. Actually, yes, Bailey. The chopper cutting mat is turned upside down, mainly because I have used the other side so much that it has this permanent kind of gap in it now. So I turned it around a while back, and I just haven't turned it again. I figure I'll get this thing dipped in water someday or what have you to really kind of tighten it up and hopefully maybe heal itself, but it probably will never heal back to original. All right, so we've got those most of these sides cut and looking good, right? But the problem that we're going to run into cutting this area right here, let me actually get a decent pointer here. The problem that we're going to run into here is that I want to leave this little area down at the end because that marks the very, very end of our piece, and I'll show you why here momentarily. That's going to be very crucial. So with that being said, we're actually going to use the old tried and true method of metal ruler and hobby knife. So we're going to line up the hobby knife, and there's my head again. Sorry about that. We're going to line up that here, right? And we're going to just mark that, score that nice and neat. Got that? All right, cool. So now, what I really love to do, this little bitty straight piece here, I don't even use the metal ruler or hobby knife. What I'll bring in is our good friend, the chisel blade. And what you can do, since the chisel blade is nice and straight and true, just pop that right on. Ooh, somebody, what's this? G Helmet. Thank you for the follow on Twitch. Appreciate that. Thank you for watching as well. Welcome. So we're going to set that right on the line. We're going to work that back and forth, and that just goes right through like butter. And actually, this side wasn't as long as I thought. So there we go. Throw that scrap away. And there we go. We've got our nice new scribing template. So that's going to be the same on both sides, since all of these are nice and squared and looking good. So I'm really happy with this. So let's mock it up to the piece here. And there may need to be some trimming involved, which, yeah, I think there's going to be some trimming needed on this. Let's put this on a flat edge and really see what we're working with. Yeah, there's definitely going to be some trimming needed on this edge and this edge on that template. We need to thin that down a little bit. Not a big deal though. Not a big deal at all. We're going to take off maybe, I don't know, half millimeter. We're just going to eyeball this for straight. There we go. All right. We're just going to run the hobby knife over this a few times, and that will trim right off. Now make sure you're pressing down pretty hard on the piece. You don't want it to slip or migrate, from where you got it. All right, so there. Now we've got that top piece trimmed off, maybe about a half mil. Looks to be. And we're going to throw that piece away. Now let's do the same thing to this side. Now you could try to sand it. That's going to take you a little while. And also, too, if you're not using something rigid like a sanding block or a file or something like that, something that is very, very straight and rigid, you're going to have a harder time keeping that edge straight. Bailey says this process for the template looks weird. Looks like it would also be similar to adding plot plate layers if you wanted to go that route. Yeah, I mean, you could. That's just another way of doing it. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of a tried and true method, you know, kind of old school, if you will. But yeah, you can definitely use this, you know, if you're adding, you know, plated details like armor or something like that. Absolutely. Absolutely. There we go. All right. So now we've got this piece trimmed down. So let's mock it up again. We're going to pull our piece from over here and let's see what that looks like now. Oh yeah, much better. Much, much better. That's exactly where we need it to be. But there's a slight, on this corner right here, there's a slight angle difference between this and that piece. So I need to knock that down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my straight as an arrow bastard file. I guess his father didn't love him. So we're going to knock that corner down just a little bit. We're going to make that nice and square. Now, as you can see, I'm going pretty damned aggressive with this. You know, some people that will use a file will just go in one direction. You know, it's not a big deal. I'll go in both directions, back and forth. It's all about the fine tuning. All right, so there we go. Oh, look at that. Aw. Guys, my wife just followed me. How cool is that? That's so sweet. Thank you, sweetheart. What is she doing up right now? Like, come on. It's 11:22 and you're still awake? Damn. But it's cool. Love that chick, man. She's the best. All right. So now we've got the angles exactly where we need them. Oh, and look, she says hi on Twitch. So nice. So nice. If you guys are watching on Twitch, say hello to my wife. She's the best. She's the best. All right, so we're going to get this tape peeled off because that will just get in the way later on. Toss that and clean off any kind of burr, excess, nasty stuff in there. Looks good. There we go. Going to bed, just checking in. Aw, well, enjoy your vacation. Sorry, everybody, just talking to the wife. Got to talk to the wife. Happy wife, happy life. That's what I say. All right. So with this now, this back edge, I'm not exactly happy with. Looking at it and inspecting it, it's not 100% straight because the first thing we did was we cut it with several passes from the hobby knife. So it seemed to have wandered a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the bastard file and just kind of straighten that up just real quick. Make that just dead ass straight. And that looks much, much better. So one thing to keep in mind, guys, is that if you are doing anything custom, scratch building, plating, scribing like this, all that good stuff, it's a very time-intensive process. VFX10 Viper followed on the Twitch. Viper, thank you, man. Follow that guy on Instagram. Very, very talented. Very good person. Yeah. So go check him out on the good old Instagram. Thank you for watching, Viper. I appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate that a lot. Thank you. And welcome. Welcome to the family. So cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make the jig part of this stencil. This is kind of where it becomes pretty interesting. So what we're going to do is we need this to be able to mirror on both sides of a piece, right? So normally, the jigs that I've shown you, it's kind of like an L bracket almost. It looks like it just has the guide piece on one side. What we're going to actually do now is make a mirrored style scribing jig, and that's going to actually form into a T. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute, because it's kind of hard to describe or understand. So let's see, 3.2 is what we want, because that's going to give us a millimeter reveal on both sides of this thing. So let's get you, so this is kind of what I'm talking about, where it forms a T. So this way you can flip it on both sides, use both sides, and it would be perfectly mirrored, right? So what we need to do is we need to cut a piece that is roughly the length of what we have here. So for that, just use good old nippers, pop it right there, easy peasy. So to get the height on both sides, we need kind of like a sacrificial piece of plastic. And then one of these pieces that I cut off before is perfectly acceptable for that. So to make this, we're going to just run a bead of super glue. Actually, let me just double check that and make sure that's straight. Yeah, we're good there. Just run a little bead of super glue, nothing crazy. You don't want it to flow out, you just want it to stick, right? So bead of super glue right down there, and we're going to lay that gingerly on our height guide piece, or whatever you want to call it, just like that. We're going to flip this piece up on its side vertically, if it wants to here, and then we're just going to butt this up right there and try to get it as perpendicular to that piece and in a 90-degree angle as much as possible. That looks to be pretty good. Yeah. Perfect. Make sure that that sticks properly. And there we go. That is kind of part one to this jig. Now, the problem that you're going to run into is if you leave it like this, it will migrate. So say you pop it up against this angle, it can slide back and forth like this, right? So that's why I left this little bit of plastic right back here to mark the end. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little bit more of that 3mm plastic, and we're going to trim off just a small little piece, just like that. And we're going to grab that with our nippers, because it's, or our tweezers, because it's so small. And first we need to make sure that this back edge is nice and just dead straight. Without, and you want to make it straight, but you don't want to knock off too much material from that either, right? So let's get some glue on here. Making it look good. And then we are going to pop this on here. And now we've got basically a stop edge. And trim off the excess here, because we don't want that catching on anything and popping that piece off. That would be bad, right? And we're going to do the same thing for this bottom edge. Pop that off, and there we go. There is our scribing jig. So before we do that, before we apply this, there's a little bit of squeeze out of super glue. We want to either remove that or spread that out. I'm just going to spread it out because there's not a lot to it. Just want it out of that corner, right? And this side looks fine. We'll clean this up here in a moment because we want that surface to be similar on both sides. We want it to act the same, and there be no peaks and valleys to that. We want this guide to be perfectly identical and mirrored on both sides. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to grab just a wider chisel. You know, anything 1 millimeter or wider, you know, is fine. And we're just going to go in here. We're just going to just lightly clean that up here. Just clean it up. We're just cleaning up that edge, right? We don't want to remove any plastic. We just want to remove any glue that's squeezed out, right? So let's take a look at that. Looks good. Let's do the same thing on this side real quick. There's just a little squeeze out that I missed down here. Okay. We're looking pretty good here, guys. This will be ready in just a minute. Clean up the surface, make sure it's nice and just dead straight. And there we go. There is our new scribing jig for this particular piece. So let me show you in practical terms. So now with this stop block, just pop it right up against the back edge here. Now that's got a perfect stopping point there. Flip it around, do the same thing, and it's mirrored on both sides. Right? Easy. Easy peasy. What do you guys think? Interesting? Something you can use? I don't know. Tell me. So there we go. So we're going to start scribing this. All right. So now the fun begins. All right. 0.15. That's our normal panel line width. So we're going to use that. We're going to use our new little guide here. We're just going to follow this along. Viper says, I'll try that someday. Dude, try it now, man. This will help you scribe crispy, nice panel lines. All right, so let's see. Now, if you guys remember, this particular line right here comes down below the side piece. So we don't need to scribe this line at all. We just need that. We needed that extra part there to form the edge of the piece. So that's all we've got. All we needed that for. Okay, looking nice. This is working perfectly, everybody. Working perfectly, and that's exactly what we wanted. All right. Am I on camera? Yeah, look at that. I'm on camera. All right. Last line here, and then I'll show you the end results. Okay. Very nice. I am happy with this, everybody. I am very, very happy with this. Let me just clean these lines up a little bit here for you. Get them a little bit deeper than what they're at now because we just started to get the groove on them. Okay. And then after this, once we get these lines in, then we'll start to get those notches in there. So hopefully, Max, if you are still watching, we're going to get to doing some notches here for you, buddy. And we're going to make this piece look top-notch. That's a pun. Top-notch. Boom. Funny, right? Maybe not? I don't know. Anyway, what I want to do right here is to extend this panel line a bit, all the way down, because I don't want it to show when that piece is flexed up, because that does have some flex to it. So let's just get this extended real quick. There we go. All right. We're going to extend that down all the way. Like I always say, guys, let the chisel do the work. That's what it's there for, right? That's what it's made for. Let it do the work. Don't apply too much pressure, or you'll end up either breaking a chisel, which is expensive, or you'll end up migrating that line, and that's not what you want either, because that'll end up being a mess. So let's show you. Let's get the super zoom going. What do you say? We'll get this popped in, woo, all the way there. Let's go over and let's get the super zoom. Get our little box friend going here. Ooh. That actually might be fine right there. What do you guys think? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there because that's not super zoom material. So you can see how that just matches up those angles really, really well. So it looks good. So let's get this on this piece and show you kind of what it looks like. Lining it up is half the battle. There we are. And where is the thruster cowl? Shoot. Anyway, I don't know where it is. But there, look at that. That piece is looking pretty good. Now it's got a nice little visual flare on the side there, just to give your eye a little bit something to look to. And it looks a little bit more interesting and mechanical looking. Looking good. I dig it. I dig it a lot. So we're going to pull this piece off here. Let's get to some notching here now for Max. Max, sound off if you're watching. Let me know. And for this one, I'm going to go a little bit bigger. I'm going to go 0.5 millimeter, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get some notches going here. All right, so the problem that you're going to run into is where you're going to put these notches. What makes sense, right? And I think what I'm going to do is grab our scrap Dymo tape here. We're going to get some of this little strip that I've used in the past. And let's cut this in half, shall we? Just like that. So now we got two, somewhat similar pieces. It doesn't have to be exact. This is not a big deal. And we're going to yank off the backing tape from this guy. Grab them with our tweezers here, pull that backing tape off, and here we go. Now, what I'm going to do, is what I think I like is the idea of a kind of long latch along this side of the panel. So we're going to line up our dymo tape with that line. We need to be careful because we need to make sure that it's straight. Since we didn't use a piece of dymo tape before, we can't necessarily just go off of that piece of tape. So we need to make sure that this is lined up appropriately, and it looks like it is now, so we're looking good. So what I'm going to do is just start right up here. We're going to give it a little bit of room. We're going to give it 3 or so millimeters, and we're just going to make a nice long looking latch. We're going to make sure it goes down below the reveal here. Now this is a wider chisel, and it's super important that you need to let this chisel do its work. Anything really 0.5 and up will have a tendency, if you're not really careful, if you don't have really good dexterity, to wander around on you and get lost. So we're going to do that. We're going to be very careful. Looking good so far. All right, so there's that. Let's pull this off here. Let's take a look, see what it looks like. Let's see our finished look. Toss that piece of dymo tape away. Let's just clean this up here real quick. Make sure that's nice and smooth, because since this is a bigger chisel, you'll be able to see the bottom of this panel, or of this notch. So if it's not really smooth, you will see the waves, if you will. Okay. So I think this might be a job for super zoom. Bam! And there, ladies and gentlemen, is our new horizontal notch. Now, what it's going to look like when it's mocked up, it's on the piece itself here. It's going to look like, find it. There it is. So that's what it's going to look like when it's actually on the piece. Obviously, I'm missing this little kind of thruster cowl. It's floating around here somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is, but that's going to be attached there. And yeah, it's going to look pretty good. Pretty good. That whole panel line looks nice and clean. I dig this super zoom thing. What do you guys think? Pretty cool to see the detail and everything. And then look at that. Look back here. Let's see if we can get that zoomed in. Squared up and zoomed in. Will it zoom or will it focus? No, it won't. Let's get that ankle off. Maybe it'll focus now. No, it's not going to focus. Son of a bitch. Oh well. Let's get your zoom back out to 1. That's a little bit better, yeah? You can see that awesome looking detail that we added several streams ago. Very cool. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make a couple more traditional notches on this thing. Let me get back, switch back over to here. And boom, okay, so there's that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch back from the 0.5 millimeter to my favorite 0.3 millimeter. And you guys are talking in the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. So GamerBud over on YouTube says, so I was wondering on getting rid of seam lines on one of my kits for the first time. It was 2 pieces that snapped together with a seam line down the middle. I was using thin cement. He says, do you use a clamp to hold the pieces together till the glue dries enough, or do you just pinch and hold? And Bailey gave good advice there. It depends on the piece. He says, for me, but I usually clamp for a couple of hours if I can get even pressure with the clamp. Yeah, and that's important because you can't always get even pressure. And clamps come in different flavors too. Let me kind of show you the things that I use for clamps because they come in a bunch of different ways. Now, obviously, this is a clamp, right? Now, this is a super small, like 4 to 6 inch clamp, and yeah, so 4 inches this way, I believe, is what the So 4-inch open, and it's based on the opening, right? The opening of the clamp. This is a 4-inch clamp that I have. But I've also used plenty of these guys and these guys. These are just paper, not paper clips, but they're like binder clips, I think is the name of them. I use these a lot for different purposes as well. So those are good examples, and they're cheap, you know. This one here that I got this from Harbor Freight. I think this was like 99 cents. You got to be careful because the quality on those isn't that great, but it'll do the job. You don't want anything, you don't want it to squeeze together so tight that the plastic breaks. So these are good, but you do, like I said, need to be wary of the quality of them. So those are some examples of the clamps that I use. So great question, great question. Let's see. Bailey says, I have some Irwin clamps I just got from Lowe's that I use. Yeah, Irwin clamps, same kind of thing. Yeah. John Yosko, thank you for watching, John. Appreciate that. He says, GamerBud, I usually just pinch them together unless they have problems sticking together. That's a great point, because sometimes what you're going to find is that some of the pieces, especially in like older kits or like resin kits or stuff like that, will not match up perfectly. So sometimes you do have to clamp those together. But mainly, if you just squeeze the things together for a few seconds, especially with newer kits, the technology is good and the seams line up and they match perfectly. Pinching it is fine. Let's see. What kind of clamp do you, what kind of clamp? And he shows me, yes. Bailey says, mine are side clamps like that. Yeah, cool. And GamerBuzz says, oh, I've got some of those. Ah, okay, great. Yeah, those are more for woodworking and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely along those lines. That's where you're gonna find those types of clamps. Is kind of woodworking, you know, places, Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, Harbor Freight. Those are places in the U.S. Obviously, they're going to be different internationally, but yeah, so check those places. Bailey says, I've also seen people use the clip style, but what's important is the surfaces stay parallel, so the swivel jaw ones work for that. Absolutely. I use the binder clips mainly for laminating plastic strips or pieces or something like that, or even like a thin kind of thin assembly, maybe like an arm assembly or something like that that can fit in those things. Or like when I'm scratch building, I will use those to hold pieces together. I don't use them a lot, but I do use them, so ideas. Gamer Buzz says, when I was pinching them together, it would separate, but the plastic melting, but the plastic was melting, which is why I wondered about the clamp. Yeah. So yeah, you know, another thing that you might want to try is clipping the rods that that go into the receiver piece on the model parts, clipping those back a little bit, because sometimes I find that some of them, not most of the time, very rarely, some of the times they're a little bit long. Clipping them back will help to squeeze those two parts together. John Yusko, I just basically said the same thing that you did. He says, another thing I'd recommend is clipping the tips of the pegs before putting the parts together. It makes construction and deconstruction much smoother. There we go. Rock and roll. Great minds and all, right? Great minds and all. Cool. All right, so let's jump back to this piece. Let me get you zoomed back in all the way. There we go. And we're going to make some other kind of more traditional notches here. Like I said, we're going to jump back with our 0.3 millimeter chisel right there. And that's what we're going to use on this. So what I think I might do is make a couple up here. I'm not even on camera. Damn. Let's get you focused. There we go. So one probably right here and one right here. And I think that'll be good. That will add visual appeal and mechanical appeal, because that's basically what we want to try to achieve, right? So I'm going to freehand this, which is not necessarily an ideal way to do this for beginners, but once you get the feel of actually scribing and pushing the chisel as opposed to pulling it, which is not something that you should do, which is push, then this will get much easier, and you'll be able to tackle this freehand. So the important thing with going freehand like this is just shaving off the plastic really, really thinly, just to get that starting groove in there. And that's what we want. All right, cool. Now I can flip it around. Now I can go and start to drag out this this notch. Again, you want to start off with a nice gentle touch. Clean out that gunk that gets started in the panel line, or that gets pushed into the panel line, I should say. Make sure that the edge is nice and square. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our 0.15, and we're going to clean up this panel, or this panel line, and we're going to get the gunk out of that. Okay, and we're just going to flip it around, go back the other way. Make sure that this notch is nice and smooth and even. All right. Clean this up with a little old toothbrush here. And Let's get super zoom. Super zoom. Right there. 5 times. Bingo. So there is your nice new panel notch. Yeah? There we go. Nice and clean, nice and square, right where it needs to be. Perfect. Dig it. Dig it, dig it, dig it. All right, let's get back to normal zoom. And we're going to do its little friend here up on the other side. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to freehand this. And really what I'm doing is eyeballing the distance from the corner of that panel line. Ideally, what you're going to want to do is to measure it when you're not comfortable with eyeballing it. But after a while, you're going to get really, really good at eyeballing small distances, or at least I have. I can pretty much gauge what is 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, all that, just simply because I look at the thicknesses of plastic all the time, especially when it comes to like plastic strips and everything. So you do get a knack for it, and that does build up over time. And just with any type of practice, you just start getting better and better at it. So I can eyeball and gauge small distances pretty decently. Not exactly, obviously, but fairly well, Okay. We're going to get the gunk out of the panel line here. And we'll go back, clean this up. Okay. Get the burr off of there. All right, let's do a little bit of light sanding on this so you guys can see it a little bit better. And so it also cleans up the burr and nastiness left over by scribing that little raised bit of plastic that you're always going to get when you scribe in a new line or notch or something. Alright, so let's get this cleaned up with the good old toothbrush here. Go back over it real quick with the chisel. Alright, let's get super zoom going here. Burr problems. Yeah, dude, the burr is an issue when you're scribing. Alright, so you can see that still obviously has some dust in those notches, but that is looking pretty damn good. Need to clean that dust out, that muck out of there, but that's basically what we are going to end up with the notches and everything. So let's get zoomed back out to 1x and then get rid of our box, go away there. So now you can kind of see the full presentation of what that new panel line looks like with the notches and everything. You've got this nice horizontal panel latch, and then you've got some nice panel notches right here to simulate those locking mechanisms for this thing. So let's get it on the piece. Let's see what it looks like in practice. And there we go. That looks pretty good. This little notch here is getting a little hidden, but as this piece can flex up like that a little bit, that will get revealed much, much better. And I'm glad I brought this this lateral notch down a little bit, because with that piece flexing, you can see it. You know, you can see it all the way down to the edge. So I like that we extended it down. So that's good. So repeat 3 more times, and then you have a matching set of panels and stuff. So easy peasy stuff there, right? So I'll do that later. I won't make you guys watch that in repeat. What we're going to do next is we're going to jump back on the arm for the Jesta. And last stream, you guys saw me do, if it focuses, you guys saw me scribe in these panel lines and notches here on the upper arm, the bicep piece, and looks, you know, really good. I'm happy with that. Now we want to bring that down onto some of the other pieces here. We've got, you know, the side armor for the forearm. We've got the inner forearm armor right here. Kind of goes right there on the piece. Actually, I got that upside down. It goes right there. Well, actually, no, wait a minute. This piece goes right there. Sorry about that. And then this piece goes right there. And then you've got the cuff and then the 2 sides. So we're going to work with those here and see what we can come up with. Make those more visually interesting, right? So let's do a time check. 12:01. Man, time's flying. VFX 10 Viper. Oh man, I tried the push method into the lines to make notches. Why I pulled all this time? Ugh. Well, see, but that's the thing. And a good point of conversation. And let's chat about this for a moment, because this is important. There are obviously 2 methods to getting panel lines and notches scribed into your plastic. When you're pulling panel lines, when you're making new panel lines, you absolutely always want to do a pull method, which basically, you know, here's the surface of the plastic, here's your chisel, and you're pulling it, right? You're not pushing into it. This is your angle of holding, and you want to pull, right? Basically, you're scraping the plastic away. And that will be the technique that you should use on virtually everything, notches included, right? The little itty bitty notches that I just did, you can push on those. But you need to be so careful. The reason being is that if you push too hard, or you're trying to take away too much plastic, that end will blow out and you'll remove more plastic than what you intended, right? So what I mean by blowout is, so here's the notch that you want to do. This is over here is the space that you want to keep, right? If you push into that, then that plastic could come off along with what you're trying to push. So you need to be super careful. That's why you work in very fine thin layers if you're pushing, and you don't want to do it a lot. You just want to get that groove established so that your chisel will ride that groove and then spin it around and then start to pull again. So pushing has its uses, right? And this is critical, as an old boss used to say of mine. Actually, he said crucial. But pushing is not something that you want to do if you're not practiced in creating panel lines or notches or things like that. You want to go slow with it. You want to do it methodically. You want to do it carefully, because it can go very wrong very fast. So just be careful with pushing. It's not something to be taken lightly, and it's not just something that you basically just barrel into, right? So just be careful. It's my 2 cents. We'll switch back. We'll get back to modeling. How about that? So there you go. Boom. All right. Swish. Okay, so we've got all these cool little pieces on this arm that we can play with, right? And this arm is the beam saber. This has the beams. Shit, I'm not even on camera. I'll learn where my boundaries are one of these days, guys. So this is the beam saber rack. This is the one that has the beam saber on back of the forearm, right? You've got this type, but then you've also got the one with the ammo clips, the magazine rack, basically. And these, just hold the 3 magazines that, the Jesta carries. But we're working with this one, and then we'll switch and get to that some other stream, right? So let's see. So we've got the beginnings of the upper arm armor established. That's the kind of look that we want to bring down into the rest of the piece. That's the aesthetic that we've already established on the leg. We want to then translate down to the forearm, right? So we've got these 2 pieces here, and that's pretty much where I'm going to start. So you've got the cuff that goes on over top. Come on, if I can get this thing on properly. There we go. So you've got the cuff that butts up against that, these 2 little forearm pieces, right? And this is the inner forearm. This is like right here, right? So we're going to do something a little bit with that. Maybe add some strip detail. So I think this would greatly use some really good detail. I'm like thinking off the top of my head right now, and I'm brainstorming as I talk, which is never a good thing. Don't do it unless you're skilled, which I'm not at this point, because I can't think and talk at the same damn time. So let me put this back together and kind of come up with some ideas here real quick, because the thing that I just thought of would be cool. Yeah, that should be pretty awesome. Okay. So what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking is that this piece right here, this little piece on the forearm, is a bit recessed in height compared to the side pieces that kind of butt up against it. And let me get super zoomed in here so you guys can get a better understanding of what I am thinking here. Right there. Okay, cool. So this piece right here, this piece is a bit recessed in height. You can see these 2 side pieces here. They come up a little bit higher. You can see that really nicely right there. So it has just a little reveal on it. So I like that a lot, right? What I think I might do is accentuate that a little bit, is to give it a little bit more space. So to do that, we're going to pop the cuff off here. Let's get back to normal zoom, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this here. There we go. Okay, so let's get these side pieces popped off first. And let's get this little guy there. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to lower the surface height of this piece overall, and I want it to be constant, right? So what we're going to do first, and this is what I'm going to try first, is I'm going to start with a bastard file. I'm going to put the piece flatly against this because I know this file is nice and flat and straight. So what I'm going to do is just kind of sand this and file this kind of in an opposite technique, and then turn it around so it doesn't get lopsided on me. You want this piece even. And let's see what that now looks like. So as you can see, we've got a consistent looking sanding file pattern on this. This is looking pretty good so far. I'll flip this over, and we're going to do the do this again, but we're going to go from this angle and get these two little pieces in there. You want to hold it in different ways just to distribute the pressure evenly on the piece that you're filing like this. Now, they make, what is it, Minishima, I think is the name of the company that make actual larger plates, you know, like 4x6, you know, metal plates that have a filing tooth grinded into, you know, a good section of the plate. I really wish I had one. They're a little expensive. But that would be great for this particular process, because you could just go to town on that and get a nice even pattern and not be limited to the, you know, width and length of the file. Okay. Let's make sure that this is nice and straight. That looks pretty good. All right, let's mock this up now with the piece and see what our reveal looks like now. And what I want, what I'm trying to get is like a 0.25 millimeter reveal. And we're going to measure that here in a moment. We're going to compare that to a plastic strip that is 0.25 millimeter. And if that's even, then we're done. But if not, we'll keep going and see what we can get this thing down to. So grab one of the 0.25 millimeter strips here. That's one of them. And let's see what this looks like. I'm going to need my visor for this to really get in tight and close and see what this thing is looking like. Bailey says, so many awesome tools in Japan, only those Super Suji Borido. God, I can't read or pronounce. Suji, damn it, Suji Borido flat iron files. Yes, those look amazing, right? What I like to do is go on Taobao. So hopefully you guys have heard of Taobao. It's kind of a Chinese marketplace similar to kind of like an Amazon style marketplace. And we're going to get super zoomed in here. And they carry a ton of hard to find tools and stuff. Oh, come on. Focus. Focus, camera. There it is. Focus, focus, focus. Ah. Manual. There we are. Okay. So, a little bit of manual focus here. So, let's take a look at this reveal now. Yeah. And see, and that's slightly better, right? Let's match that up here. Let's see what this looks like. I'm going to do this off camera real quick. Ooh, yeah. Nice and close. Nice and close. All right. So let's get this on super zoom here real quick. Get this to a nice angle for you guys. There we go. And look at that. That is pretty much a perfect 0.25 millimeter reveal right there, right? And then same on this side, hopefully. Let's get... Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Let's turn this around so it gets better light. Yeah, perfect. All right, so that's exactly what we want. That's looking good. So we've got a little bit higher reveal now. So what I'm going to do next is just chisel in, and let's get you out of super zoom. So now that we've got that established, now I'm going to go back with the 0.15 millimeter chisel here and just run this down the sides. And I'm going to use the lip of the side pieces as a scribing guide. So we're just establishing a nice, neat, even panel line across the edge of this piece. Really easy, simple thing to do. And then when you go to panel line, wash this piece, that will accentuate really, really nicely. Cool. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing to the opposite side here. And excuse me, when you're doing something like this, you do want to squeeze the parts together to make sure that you don't have any gaps in the parts, because when you're using an opposite part like I am here, like this side part, when you're using that as a guide, you don't want there to be any space in there to throw off the width of your panel line that you're scribing into the other piece here. So that's why I squeeze that together and make sure that the tolerances are nice and tight. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. You can see how that panel line now has kind of accentuated that shadow in there, right? Let's get it super zoomed, and I'll show you what I mean. Boom. So there is that panel line there, and then on the opposite side, right? So that'll accentuate that shadow right in here, and that will make those two pieces seem separate when it's all painted. Hopefully, you know, these will be the same color and everything. But yeah, that'll look really quite nice. I dig it. I dig it. All right, let's get you out of super zoom. Let's get back on there, switched over. Let's check in with Facebook. Is anybody over there? Kurt Hill. As always, nice. We'll catch up with you on YouTube later when he's home. Man, Kurt Hill, good dude, man. He's always working. He's a hard worker, man. Hard worker. Good stuff. Good to see Kurt Hill. All right. So let's get a little fun with this this piece now. We're gonna pop this off here. And this is a good example. You can see on here, let's super zoom this because I want to show you the burr. Bring it down right there. All right, so see that white line right here? This white speck of plastic, that's burr. That's from scribing. And with that, you can just kind of take your fingernail, hell, even an old toothbrush, and man, you can just wipe that away, just kind of get rid of it. Might need to go over it a little bit with the chisel, but nothing crazy, right? Nothing crazy. Okay, much better. Clean that piece up nice and neat, because you don't want that on there, because that will, if you leave that on there and if you don't get rid of it, that will pick up paint, that will pick up primer, that will pick up clear coat, and it will grow as those layers are applied. All right, so manual focus. Whoop, almost had it. There we go. So now that burr is nice and cleaned up, don't have to worry about it. So there's the opposite side. That's what it looked like before with the burr. That's the cleaned up side. That's what it looks like after. So very good stuff. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit of crazy with this piece here. We're going to do some box style panels, and that's what we're going to do. I found the little thruster cap, so let me put this on the leg real quick so I don't lose it. There we go. All right. So, switching back, let's get you out of the super zoom. Okay. And now what we're going to do, like I said, going to do some nice box style panels on this and really bring that bicep aesthetic down to this particular piece. Now, what I want to see is how wide this is. All right, so that's about you can see that's probably about 1 millimeter too wide for the regular width of Dymo tape, right? So let's measure this up, because what I want to do is take lines from this gap between those two pieces, and that's basically going to establish our box, right? 10, let's see, if we go with 10 millimeters, that'll be perfect for a scribed piece. So let's get our boy the chopper in here. Let's do some chisel discipline. Let's put those caps back on, and let's see, let's get you zoomed out a little bit. Right about there, that looks good. Now, the Wave T-square that I love to use, this thing right here, is exactly 10 millimeters wide here, 10 millimeters wide here. So we can use that as a nice little distance guide, right? So we're going to put that in there, butt that right up against the chopper blade, and then we're going to butt that stop block right up against that, and then lock it in for distance. And now we have pretty much a 10 millimeter wide gap between the blade and the stop block. So what we do now is we take our Dymo tape, let's square up the edge, because we cut that with scissors the other night. And let's cut that. So now, the problem here is this looks pretty square, right? Simple, yeah? What I like to do is to cut the corner off of one side, so that will help me keep orientation on this piece. Because Dymo tape is, I think, 9 millimeters wide, but the width that we need is 10 millimeters wide. So that's almost square, right? So we need to keep it straight. So now with this cut, let's see. That's actually a little wide than what we need. Shoot, okay. No problem. So we're going to unlock the stop block here. And we're just going to push this over just ever so slightly. Just like that. And now we're going to cut a new piece of Dymo tape here and see what that does for us. Make sure that's nice and flat, because the Dymo tape will have a tendency to curl on you, and that will give more length to that piece. Okay, so does that fit? That fits perfectly in that spot, in that gap between these two protrusions, right? But that's still not what we want. We need something a little bit smaller. So we're going to scooch this down just ever so slightly more, because we need a piece that goes inside the panel lines between those two gaps. So we need to subtract a 0.3 millimeter from that width. So let's see if this piece will cut. Yep. But since it cut, let's make sure it's even. That looks good. Okay. So now we have a width. That's the wrong orientation. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. Okay, let me get you super zoomed in, because I want to explain this part, because this is important, guys. What I'm talking about with offsetting and everything here. So let's get this, where is it? What, okay. So, all right. Get this on a pair of tweezers here so I can work. All right. So what I'm trying to do is bring down lines that match up to these corners here, inside this gap, right? So if we put a piece of Dymo tape that was exactly that gap, those panel lines would go on the outside of that gap and look not realistic. So what we need to do is we need to make a piece of Dymo tape and cut it to where it has, you know, a good amount, you know, probably about 0.15 millimeters on each side to allow that panel line to match up with that width perfectly, right? So that's what we're going to do. That's the piece of tape that we're using right here. So again, since this is going to hang off the edge, I'm going to cut a notch to help me out with orientation. And then we're going to peel this backing tape away. And I'll get you zoomed back out here in just a second so you can see what I'm doing. But let me get this backing tape off there. All right, let's get you out of the super zoom. Okay, so now we need to put this piece of Dymo tape, we need to install this ever so carefully. And now I want these panel lines to run the full length of this. And lining it up is very crucial because you not only want to keep the lines straight, you want to have a nice even width on either side of that piece, right? So that, I think, looks pretty good. Let's use our 0.15 and see if there's a good space there. Perfect on this side. Perfect on that side. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Noah Sandoval, welcome to the stream over there on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Let's see. We're doing some panel line scribing. Hopefully you're into that. I don't know. So what we're going to do now is we're going to drag out these two lines on either side. These are super easy lines to scribe because they go the full length. They just ride on one edge of the Dymo tape. So nice little even passes will get you nice, crispy, smooth lines. Okay, we're going to flip it around, do the other side here real quick. The sound that the chisel makes, and I've said this time and time again, if it's skipping or chirping, then your panel line or notch is not smooth on the bottom. Because if it's skipping, it's hitting like a wave, right? So if you visually think about that bottom of that piece, if it's a nice smooth sound, then it's a nice smooth bottom. But if it's going, you know, like that, or chirping at you, then it's basically like a wave at the bottom. So you want to spin it around, do it from the other side. That will normally help you smooth out that panel line. But these sound really nice and smooth. One consistent sound, and that's what you're looking for. Perfect. All right, so we're going to strip this off. We're going to take a look at our finished product here. And let's get you super zoomed in on this because I want to show you how these lines match up with that gap, right? Boom, right there. There you go. Easy peasy, right? Look at that. So, like I said before, you didn't want a piece of Dymo tape that perfectly fit between this side and this side of these gaps, right? You wanted something a little bit thinner so that you could accommodate the panel lines to match up with those protrusions. So now what you're simulating is you're simulating that there are 3 pieces here instead of just one, right? You've got this border piece, and then you've got this middle field right in the middle, right? This looks completely separate from these two. That's what you're trying to simulate with the box panel lines, the square panel lines, and more mechanical things. You're trying to simulate a mechanical look. So that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. Exactly what we wanted. Now we're going to get a little crazy with it. We're going to kind of throw our own flair into it, if you will. So let's get you out of super zoom. Do love that term, and I do love this feature, super zoom, so you guys can see the crispy little details and everything, right? So what we are going to do next is grab our stash of scrap Dymo, right? And then, let's see, we're going to pull out a thin little piece here, maybe this little guy right here. Very thin little piece, you know, probably about 1 millimeter, maybe a little over. We'll measure it just to see what we're working with here. Because with this small a piece, you don't want anything too crazy, right? You don't want anything too thick. Let's see, where did the T-square get to? Lost my T-square. Ah, no, shit. Probably under the chopper. Yep, that's exactly where it is. If you guys have a chopper, keep in mind things get lost underneath of it. If you push it, you know, and pull it back into, you know, into your workspace, that has a tendency to happen a lot. So just remember, things can get lost under there. It's kind of like your sock drawer. And yep, that's this is a 1 millimeter thick piece of Dymo, okay? So this is what we're going to use kind of as our guide on this thing. So let's peel off the backing tape on this. Bailey knows what I'm talking about. He says, over on YouTube, he says, yes, already noticed. Pieces of styrene and tools, yeah, dude. It's the black hole of a modeler's desk. Things will get lost under the chopper. And you always have to kind of lift it up to see what might be under there. So I'm glad I'm not the only one. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this piece of Dymo tape right up here. Ah, shit. It's not long enough. Not long enough to span across the piece. So what I'm going to do is alter course, and I'm going to actually make it shorter. And I'll show you why here in a minute. Let's make sure that this is square. Okay, good. That's nice and square. All right, so we're going to alter course a little bit from the design that I thought of, and we're going to do something a little bit different, but still equally as cool. Hell, maybe this is cooler. I don't know. Okay, it needs to be pushed over just a bit. There we go. All right. And let's make sure this is nice and parallel. Boom. Okay, so now we've got this piece. Let's get zoomed in on the camera there. Now we've got this piece of Dymo that is now probably about 1 millimeter on each side away from our panel lines here, right? Oh, geez, everybody started popping off here. Hey, Vincent Longa, welcome, sir. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Working on my master grade Psycho Zaku. Very cool. Adding details to some opening hatches I made. Very cool. That sounds awesome, dude. Very nice. Kenneth Sim, only tool I'm trying to get was the T-ruler. Man, they're expensive. Yeah, they can be. They can be. The Wave one right here, this guy, this is the smaller one. They make two sizes. They make a big one and they make a smaller one. Let me show you just real quick because these are great tools. These are absolutely great tools. Zoop. There we go. So those are the two sizes, obviously large and small versions, right? This is the Wave HT384. That's the model number. The smaller one is HT382. I like the smaller one a lot better, simply because of form factor. I got this one first, but then in Japan I saw this at one of the shops there, and I couldn't not get it, right? It was like $5 at the Volk store right there in Akihabara, right outside of the train station, right? So I bought this one first off of Hobby Search. I bought this one in Tokyo. I use the smaller one a lot more just because it's so much more convenient. You can hold it a lot easier than this bigger one, and yeah, it's just a lot more conducive to my own kind of building style, you know. The one thing I do like about the bigger one, though, is that you have these basically these little cut notches right here along the corners, so that if you do have to kind of cut away, you start your blade in that cut corner, so you don't mar the tip of your blade, which I really like. I wish the little one had that, but I can understand as to why it doesn't. You know, machining costs, stuff like that. Probably, I don't know. I'm just kind of brainstorming, but yeah, I really love those. I got mine, like I said, off of Hobby Search. I know they have those right now. I think they probably have them in stock, but Hobby Search, man, yeah, they're great, reasonable shipping compared to HLJ, and a much better selection of in-stock items compared to HLJ2. I've basically stopped buying stuff from HLJ and I've switched completely to Hobby Search. So my recommendation is Hobby Search. 1999.co.jp/en. I don't know why I know that by heart, but I do. Here you go. Excuse me, I'm parched. Oh, yes. Back to what we were doing is this little guy here. And let me super zoom this so I can show you what I did. So there you go. You got that little 1mm piece of Dymo tape here that's now centered between these two panel lines that we just scribed in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around this thing to make a smaller kind of box panel there. And then we're going to do a nice little horizontal panel scribe on that. And I think that'll end up looking pretty good. And then we'll do maybe some other tiny stuff to this piece. And I think this piece will come out looking rather nice. So let's get you out of super zoom, back into work mode. Oops, there and there. Back to Streamlabs, and here we go. All right, so we're going to go with 0.15mm. It's what I always like to chisel with. Now, before we do that, I do want to make 100% sure that this is accurate, because if it's off center, you will notice it. So that's one in the mark there. to the panel line. And that's 1 in the mark there, so perfectly centered. So I'm comfortable with scribing this in. So we start with the size. We start with the basically the shortest length of the scribe first, or at least that's what I like to do. And we want to be very, very careful with this, because since this is such a small piece of Dymo tape, if you're not super ginger with this, it will migrate on you and it will move, and that will cause you many problems trying to scribe straight, accurate lines. Okay, one side down. Okay, 2 sides down. Now for the long side. This is going to be tricky because, like I said, if you push against that Dymo tape too much, you're going to see migration. You're going to see movement in that tape. And that's what we want to try to avoid. So a nice light touch initially to get that groove started. And then once you have that, then your chisel will ride in that groove so you can deepen the panel line. Okay, that looks pretty good so far. And I think we're ready to pull the tape off this and really go to town and deepen these lines up a little bit. So we're going to pull that off there. We're going to throw that piece of Dymo tape away. Alright, let's see. Yep, nice. That's exactly what I'm looking for. This is a good aesthetic. This is, oop, that's chirping. You guys heard that skipping, right? That's not what we want. It's a little bit better. It's smoothing out now. Whoa! And I dropped it. Damn it! Dropped a piece. Let's find it. Pardon me. And I'm back. Found it. Alright, so let's grab this piece a little bit more securely and try to go to town on this thing. Get these lines deepened. Okay. Okay. Looking pretty good. Now, what we're going to do, since we used the file before to flatten this piece out and to take a little bit of height off of this, we're going to do the same thing, but to clean up the scribe edges and the burr and everything like that. So we're going to do that in one direction, and then we're going to go back, reestablish the pressure across the piece, and do that in the other direction here. So now, all we got to do is clear out the dust from the panel lines, first with the toothbrush, and then we're going to go back over it with the chisels and clear out the dust after that. Looks good? Okay, so let's get in here and clean some dust out of this thing. Ooh, almost dropped it again. This piece is tiny, guys. Hard to grip. Okay. Okay, so let's now get this into super zoom and let's see how we did. Booyah! Now, an interesting part of this, you can see on the left, right there, how I overshot and scratched the surface. That's just an overshot on the chisel, just on one pass. It's easy to do, right? So we're going to need to ultimately sand this piece to clean that up and kind of, you know, buff that out essentially. So that'll buff out real easy. Obviously, within the super zoom, everything looks like huge and big, and scratches look deep and everything. Don't worry about it. Like I said before, and like I've done before, that will absolutely buff out very, very easily with a little bit of wet sanding, and we'll look good from there. So now, what I want to do additionally here is maybe just a thin piece of strip detail, and I'm thinking maybe 3 millimeter thick strip detail by 0.25 millimeter, and not all the way across either, because I think that would look terrible. So let's see if we do I have any 0.3? What's this? I think this is 0.5 millimeter. This one. Caliper. Always a good tool to have on hand, your digital calipers. Yeah, that's 0.5 millimeter. We don't want that. I don't think that I have any 30 millimeter strip there. Let's check the stash, shall we? Ooh. Zoom out for that. Bang. Alright, so let's see. 0.25 is what we're looking for. 0.25 by 3.2. Bingo, right here. Sweet. So we'll grab a little snippet of this. And let's see, we'll just cut that. That's all we really need. We don't need a lot, just a little bit. Oof, there we go. All right, so now we know chisel discipline. Always chisel discipline. Make sure you're putting the cap on these things, guys, because they will break, they will chip, or something else really terrible. You don't want that to happen, because that's bad. All right, so we want something that will fit into between these two panel lines real nicely. So we know that this is about 10 millimeters wide. I'm going to go 8 millimeters. So I think that'll match the box. Yeah, that'll match the box, the little box, detail that we scribed in just a few seconds ago. So I think that'll look pretty nice. So let's get this unlocked. Let's get you zoomed out so you can see what we're doing here. Get the tape on so it doesn't move. All right, so we're looking for 8 millimeters, right about there. Perfect. All right, get the stop block in place. Let's square off the edges of this. We're going to bring this out and pop that. So now we've got a nice 8 millimeter piece of styrene here that we are going to put basically right here. And now that matches this little box that we scribed in before, so that'll look really nice. That'll complement that, and that'll give different levels to the piece, which is, again, both visually interesting and mechanically interesting as well. So let's work with this little guy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bevel the corners on this, but I'm just going to freehand it because I want them to be super subtle and very, very small. So I'm just going to cut these to about a 45. And if it's not exactly a 45, man, it's going to be super close, you know? So you're never going to be able to tell the difference between what is a 45-degree angle on this and what's not, simply because of the size of this thing. It's so small, nobody's going to notice. So that looks really good. I like that. Let's get this glued in. We're going to get our friend Tamiya extra thin here. Glue of choice. Now, one thing, and this is interesting. I saw this on Facebook the other day, and I want to put this to the test. So, and I didn't know this, to be honest with you. Throughout all my years of experience, I did not know this. Let's get this switch back over here. So I'm going to see if this is true. I don't know if it is or not, but we're going to test it live. And you're going to either see me amazed, or we're going to debunk a theory here. So, the information that I saw is that this application wand that is in every bottle of Tamiya Extra Thin and everything can extend all the way down to the bottom. Shit, I just pulled it out. Not a problem. That actually does go back in, but does it? Whoa! Look at that. Huh. That kind of extends. Yeah. Look at that. Huh. Interesting. You learn something new every day, I guess, right? You just twist it a little bit, and it's in there just by friction. Ah, okay, so super zoom time, and I'll show you. Okay, so let's pull this out a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so there is, oops, there we go. So there's, okay, so see the difference in the raised surface right here? So once you pull it out past this, it has a little bit of give to it that it really, it's kind of loosey-goosey. Let's get you out of super zoom here. And so once you're past that point, it's kind of really kind of loose. But once that step is back in there, it's a lot tighter and everything. So I don't know if that's the original length of that wand. But yeah, it absolutely does extend. Interesting. I never knew that. Let's see how far that goes down. Hard to tell. Huh. Interesting. Pretty damn cool. I didn't know about that, guys. Did anybody out there? I saw that on Facebook. Somebody had posted that from like a tank page or something like that. I had no clue. I've been using this stuff for years and never once tried to extend the wand. I just basically, and the reason why it extends is to reach down all the way to the bottom as you use the glue. I just tipped the bottle up and just kind of got into it that way. And then when I kind of got low, I just bought a new bottle and used that. And then as that started to, you know, deteriorate in level. I just dumped the old one into the new one. So, interesting little tidbit of information. We're going to get this guy on here. That is not square at all. Get him positioned and down onto the edge that we need him to be. But now, that's looking a lot better. I'm going to move back over a little bit. Get them centered. Yeah, that's a good call, Kenneth. Kenneth Sim over on YouTube, he says, you can extend it, but don't drop the bottle. Damn right. Don't drop the bottle. That will be a bad day for you if you drop that bottle. Good call there. All right. So, there we go. Looking pretty good. I think I need to center this a little bit more because I don't think that it's perfect just yet. I think it's a little off right now. Just under the mark on 1 millimeter. That is actually pretty close. A little bit over, so we're going to push this just a bit. Positioning is key for these types of details, guys, because if it's not perfectly aligned, the viewer's eye will see it. They may not know exactly why it doesn't look right, but they will know that something doesn't look right, right? So, hey, Chris Wu, welcome to the show. Man, that base of yours is looking awesome, by the way. Saw it on the Plazone group over there on Facebook. Very, very good work. Love seeing that type of stuff. Speaking of Facebook, Mike Wine is there. And then, let's see who else. Robert LaFlash joined. He says, have you ever tried the new MIG Extra Thin? I have not. I have not. I didn't know MIG made glue, to be honest with you. I'm not too into MIG stuff, really. I'm just not. Number one, I can't get it locally very easily. And number two, it's just, I don't know. I'm kind of set in what I use so far. But that's interesting. I didn't know that MIG even made, a plastic cement. That's pretty interesting. Robert says it's pretty good. Interesting. Where can you get it? Can you get it online, Robert? Or at least domestically online? I don't know. With it being a solvent base, I'm sure it's probably flammable, so it's ground ship only. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. Anyway. So, let's see what this looks like here. This looks pretty good. I like what it looks like so far. Now, I got it at the local hobby shop. Cool. Is it a mom and pop shop or is it like a chain? Yeah, Chris. Absolutely, man. Chris Wu over on YouTube says, first time I tried Deluxe Plastic Magic, it gives very good solid glue compared to the other thin cements. And you're absolutely right. And that's it right there. And I will be honest with you, I love this stuff. I do. The problem is that I can't get it locally, which sucks. My old hobby store actually ordered this for me. Special order, right? And I told them all about it. They weren't, familiar with it. I told them that this can bond styrene to ABS, ABS to ABS, all of that stuff. This stuff is like magic, hence the name. So they ordered it for me, and I kind of, they tried it out themselves on kits like in store, and they were just blown away. So you know, then they had a spot for it on the shelves, and they loved it, and the whole nine. And then the fuckers shut down. Just my luck. They start carrying something I love, and then they shut down. Right? So, story of my life, man. Story of my life. So, Robert says on Facebook, man, it's just a mom and pop shop. That's cool. They're the coolest ones. They carry the full line of MIG, Mr. Color, and Tamiya. Wow. Dude, you are so lucky to have that, you know, at least a store, mom and pop store in the U.S., right? Because the buy-in for, you know, a Mr. Color rack alone is thousands of dollars because you need to buy all that stuff at once. At least that's from what I heard from another store that I go to. And then I'm sure that the same thing is true for Tamiya and MIG. Just to get the racks and everything, you need to buy in the whole line. So you're a lucky man, dude. That's awesome. I love to see that. I love to see that. There's mom and pop stores. Mom and pop stores, man, are just the best because, you know, they do things differently as opposed to, you know, chain stores and stuff. So really, really cool. Let's get back over to YouTube. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Bailey, as an acrylic airbrusher, I like MIG paints for spraying and for weathering the enamels. MIG makes cement, yes, and also makes super slow dry CA. Really? Interesting. I may have to try and source these out. Interesting. Chris Wu says, yeah, it's pretty hard to get here too. Probably the plastic magic. It's, you know, and that's the weird thing because it's by Deluxe Material. And they're UK based, out of Bramley, Hants, UK. I guess I'm saying that right. I don't know. But you would think that it would be a little easier at least to get here in the States and abroad, since, you know, UK is kind of centrally based in the modeling world, if you will. But hell, I don't know. So, let's see, what else? Chris says, the thing is good. The glue never ruins your paint like other cement glue. Yeah, I've never tried it, you know, after I've painted or anything before. But that's good to know, right? Bailey says, I use Tamiya cement and for CA Loctite. Good choice. And just got into the BSI, I guess, line of CA glues. I've tried those. I don't know. They're okay. I haven't tried them all. I've tried their like extra thin CA glue. I just wasn't hyped on it. You know, I really love Loctite just because of its properties. It's not, you know, super brittle like some of the other CA glues are. I dig it, and that's what, you know, that's what I'll probably continue to use. I might try some here and there. Support that shop. Yeah, dude. Bailey, Robert Bailey over on YouTube says support that shop, and I agree, man. Support that shop. That shop sounds awesome. I'll take a few photos next time I'm up. Sweet. Dude, Robert, where is it located? Obviously, it's in the U.S., but where is it located? What is it called? Let's give it a plug so that people are aware of it. Let's get it, you know, obviously, there's not many people going to see this after the fact. And there's not really many people watching right now, but hey, let's give them a shout out. Robert says, I do support that shop. Nice. That's awesome. All right. So Robert will probably tell us what the name of the store is and what where it's located in the world here momentarily. But while we're waiting for that answer, let's go back to our friend 0.15. We're going to do just a nice outline scribe on this strip that we just installed, just to give it depth and separation. And this also helps to clean up any of the squeeze out on the glue. we're just going to go around this piece, scribe a nice little outline scribe around it. And what this is also going to do is when you go to panel line this thing with a wash or what have you, this will accentuate any shadow, and it will make the piece you know, stand out and separate that much more than just a, you know, simple, you know, piece of styrene glued to the surface of this thing. It's going to make it look mechanically separated. Ooh, that's chirping at me. Yeah, that's not good. We'll get that groove set in there, and then we'll turn it around and go at the opposite direction to get that smooth. Let's get these last few lines carved in here. All right, one last bevel, and then we will clean this up, switch it around. Okay. Get this last corner cleaned up here. Looking good, looking good. Shit. So the problem with these little pieces that you do run into sometimes is that you can overshoot your line. And that's what I just did, and I did it before. So we're going to need to buff that out after the fact. Now, the reason why I overshot it is because the chisel ramped. If you guys aren't familiar with what that means, ramping, just like the name implies, the chisel hits something, you know, some sort of blockage, and then it basically used that as a ramp to go above where that chiseled line is, and then it skipped out. The thing that it ran into was plastic debris and shavings and dust and stuff like that from the panel line that I was scribing that's connected to it, another angled panel line. So it ramped out of the panel line, and it got away from me. What are you going to do? Clean your panel lines out, and that probably won't happen. All right, so I think we're looking pretty good here. Just need to be super careful of this corner because that's where I ended up. There we go. Now it's notching. There we go. That's what we want. So what I mean by notching is that it gets stopped. Your chisel gets stopped by some other corner, right? So that's what I mean when I say notching in terms of scribing a line, right? Not notching in terms of chiseling a notch in there. So two very similar terms, two completely different meanings. So hey, let's get caught up with the chat here. Robert over on Facebook says it's spare. It's called, okay, so his amazing mom and pop shop that he goes to is called Spare Time Shop with an E, and it's located 222 East Main Street in Marlborough, Massachusetts. So if you guys are living in Massachusetts or anywhere around that area, definitely go to Spare Time Shop, because if I ever get up to Massachusetts, I would love to go there and just take a look and see what it's about, because it sounds awesome. It carries a full line of MIG, full line of Mr. Color, and Tamiya all at the same time? Come on. The only way it could get the only way it sounds like it could get any better is if it sold like Gaia or Komodo paints or something really, you know, a little exotic like those paints, man. That sounds awesome, dude. Man, you're lucky. Lucky dude, man. Lucky dude. All right. So what else? Chris Wu says we have to support whatever shop we can locally, as they are the lifeline supply for any modeling friends out there. Yeah, a lot of these places are, man. A lot of these places are. Bailey says, my local shop, True Gunpla's Hangar 18 Hobbies in North Carolina. I've heard good things about that place. Carries most of Tamiya, all of Vallejo Citadel, and getting some Mr. Hobby lately. Cool. Well, hopefully you guys get a rack of that stuff, because Mr. Hobby, I love Mr. Hobby stuff. Really a big fan of that. Vincent says, have you guys ever glued anything to your fingers? More times than I can count, man. Yeah. Especially with super glue. With the, you know, with the Loctite stuff. Yeah. Yeah. More times than I can count. More times than I would like to admit. Let's put it that way. So yeah, that's a fairly common occurrence, especially when working on resin kits, because obviously resin doesn't, you know, isn't affected by Tamiya Extra Thin or the Plastic Magic by, you know, Deluxe Materials or anything. So you need to use either 5-minute epoxy or super glue when working with resin. So yeah, working on the Blue Destiny, since that was a resin conversion, yeah, I got stuff glued to my hands very often, and also glued to my tweezers very often. So you just learn to deal with it, dude. Plain and simple. William Wilms, yes, I have. He's glued stuff to his fingers too. That's when I shake and shake my fingers till the piece flies off and disappears forever, and I have to start the process all over again. We've all been there, man. We've all been there. Chris says, mostly I get annoyed when working in decals, as it always glues into my hand often. Yeah, dude. Gotta be careful with decals. Gotta be careful with decals. Once I get to the decal stage of this particular model, or when I actually shoot tutorial videos, which hopefully should be pretty soon, maybe this week even. I'll show you kind of my tried and true method of applying decals. I've never seen anybody do it kind of in, you know, the way that I do, and which is nothing crazy. It's not like a you know, super magical way of applying decals or anything. It's just, you know, something different from what I've seen other people do. You know, different practices using similar materials and stuff like that. I mean, you know, you use decal set, you use, you know, like a water, you know, a little water basin, and yeah, so I'll show you guys that at a later time. But yeah, decals can be absolutely super annoying to work with, especially if you're not really comfortable or used to them, like for you know, a beginner, which Chris is definitely not. Kenneth Sims says decals applied and then missing after. Oh, dude, when they dry off and they flake off, yeah, that is super annoying, and I've heard many people complain about that. And you know, I think the main source of, well, at least what I can imagine anyways, the main source of frustration with that happening is that and I'm not saying that this happens to you, Kenneth, but a lot of people, from what I've heard that, you know, happen to, they don't apply a really nice gloss coat before they do decals, so that air gets trapped underneath, and as that decal set, or, you know, decal glue is drying, it's not properly adhered to that surface very well. So you know, a nice, super smooth gloss surface is really, really important when it comes to that. So I'm not sure if that's, you know, if that's what you're doing or not, but just saying, you know, for people that I have heard, you know, run into that issue, that's kind of the ongoing theme, you know. They'll spray gloss on there, but it may not be glossy enough, you know. It'll turn up like a matte finish, and they'll say they spray gloss on there. I've seen a ton of people do that. Chris Wu says the worst, the decal breaks into pieces after you apply. Yeah, I've had that happen. And then, you know, once you've got that, it's just cancel Christmas at that point because you're done. I had that happen to me on the Hummingbird, actually, the Shield. There's this nice big Grim Reaper decal on it, and it was going over several panel lines, so I had to let it dry, you know, let it cure, let it, you know, evaporate down, and then apply decal solvent to it to kind of conform to the panel lines a little bit more. But then after that, I would take a super sharp hobby knife, cut the decal along the panel line so it would set even more. And when I did that, it just, yeah, it cut it a little bit more than I wanted to. So with that being, you know, decal set and decal solvent on there, that decal wasn't coming off. I had to literally strip that whole piece down to bare plastic and start again. All the masking, all the panel lining, all the painting, everything. Such a nightmare. But we got it on the second try, so that's what matters, right? That's what matters. So let's finish up this piece here. All right. All these panel lines are attaching to each other, and that's important because you want a nice even look to your panel lines, especially outlines around a piece like this, because you don't want them to be too thin or too thick. You just want a nice consistent look to help not only accentuate the look of it being a separate mechanical piece, but you also want to keep it a nice even kind of fake shadow once you get panel line and everything. Yeah, Chris. Chris Wu over on YouTube says, yeah, that situation is a facepalm. Dude, you have no idea. You have no idea. I literally wanted to just cry. Like, I was so bummed at that point. And it was getting close to GBWC, and the pressure was mounting, and it was just like, oh, you know, one of the final stages. You never want to see a mess up at that point. It was, yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Kenneth Sim says, mostly Bandai's decals, is that happens to when it flakes off. Probably it's old, breaking and non-stick. It doesn't stick to the surface. Yeah, potentially. Older. My light went off. Why did my light go off? Let's investigate, shall we? Uh-oh. Did this damn thing just burn out on me? Troubleshooting electronics with Child of Mecha. Welcome to the show. There. Huh. There we go. Donate to the Gumpo Talk fundraiser. We got it back and working. So there we go. Anyway, sorry for that break there, guys. Needed to fix my little sign here, because that's important, right? My little sign. I like my little sign. Freaking cute, right? I like it. I dig it. So Chris Wu says, yeah, it happened to me before. I got I got use cement over it instead. Oh, you used. Ow. Yeah, dude. Okay, so I know. Yeah, so you used cement over it instead of Mark Setter. Ouch. Yeah, that had to hurt. That had to hurt. Just the feelings and the heart, and man, deep down inside, that had to hurt, dude. I can't imagine that. That's ooh, yeah, that's a tough break. It ruined the decal and paint at the same time. Ooh, yeah, that's a tough break, man. That is a tough, tough break. Whew, man. I just wow, that hurts. That's when that happened. I mean, I can only imagine. That hurts your soul, you know? I just wow. Really a face palm and screaming inside. Dude, I would be screaming outside. But that's me, you know? Man. You know what? Learn from your mistakes, though. I always do. They're the best learning tool that you can use. So, yeah, that is, whew, that sounds like a tough break. Tough break, man. Okay. This is looking really quite nice, everybody. So let's get this zoomed in so you can kind of see what is what here. Robert LaFlash over on Facebook says, I dig it, in reference to my little sign here. I like my little sign. It's pretty cool. Got that at local Target. It's a department store for those of you internationally. So there's our little arm piece. And obviously we need to do some cleanup because there's still, still some burr around here. Looks like there's still some debris in this panel line here. Shavings off the chisel so I can point better. It looks like right up here is still a little bit of leftover glue that squeezed out here. Need to clean that up a bit. Need to buff out these spots here and over here where the chisel ramped out of the line. But overall, I like the look of this so far. So let's mock this up on the piece and see kind of what we're working with here, because I am interested to see what this overall look is. Yeah, I like it already. I like it already, people. Yeah. Look at this. Let's get you zoomed out, because this super zoom is not doing this justice right now. 1x, get rid of the box. Look at that. This looks pretty good, yeah? Let's get this lined up with the light so you can see. Yeah, look at that. Mechanical looking. I like it. I like it a lot. Really nice. Really nice. And what I think I might do is pull this off, do one last detail for the night, and then I think that will be a good place to stop, because we've gone pretty long tonight. We're creeping up on 3 hours? If we haven't crossed the 3 hour mark already. Oops, gotta pull the cuff off first. Ow! Not a big deal. Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, 3 hours. So, a little bit longer tonight. Not a big deal. It's Friday. We're having fun, hanging out, talking, shooting the shit. Things friends do on a Friday night. Thank you all for watching again. Appreciate that. That's big. All right, so we're going to, let's go wide. Let's go 0.50. Chisel discipline. Boom, as always. That's important. And we're going to put a horizontal latch right above this plastic strip that we just installed. And I think that will make a world of difference. Now the good thing is we can just use the plastic strip as basically our guide, right? So really, really simple to scribe this this notch in here. It's going to be really straight and nice. It's obviously going to be parallel to the detail, the whole nine. So this will be easy and quick to get this last little detail in here. Now, the most important thing, and I'm sure you guys have heard me say this before, is getting the two ends of your notch to be square and smooth and on the same level height-wise. All right, let's check, see if that's, make sure that that's in the middle, and if we need to adjust, we will adjust. So that is 1 in the mark. That is 1 in the mark. So I hit the mark. All right, looking good, looking good. All right. Let's see. You never put cement together with mark setters. They both look the same. Dude, they really do. They really, really do. Junk Guild 1 says, I think a bit of more than I can chew with having the 01 Tristan and kit bashing it with the Revive RX-78 for better articulation and proportions. First time doing this. Ooh, sounds like an interesting concept, though. I dig it because I like the Tristan. I like the overall design of it. But man, Bandai just did not really do that kit any justice, did they? Kind of the reuse of old, you know, kind of substandard in terms of modern standards parts and everything. It was kind of sad and disappointing. But yeah, dude, if you can pull that off, the kit bash between the basically transplanting the Tristan's armor onto the current RX-78, man, I think it would be a winner. Okay, so I like it. I like it a lot. Let's get Super Zoom engaged. Let's see. Chris says, yeah, it's getting better. Going to finish the base later, too. Cool. That'll be cool to see. Bailey says, no love for Alex at all in years. Yeah, right? I know. Alex just does not get loved. Junk Guild says, nope, not at all. They just use the Alex frame. Yeah. And you know, I don't try to get down on models and things like that because I'm one, if a model has an issue, I'll fix it, right? But for people that don't want to do that or may not be necessarily experienced enough to do that, you know, I do feel, I do feel sorry for those types of people. But Bandai just didn't do anybody any favors with their Alex releases. I mean, that first master grade of the Alex, well, I should say the only master grade of the Alex, ugh, that was terrible, man. I remember when the Alex master grade first came out, right? And obviously this was a long time ago. And, you know, you're talking about the Easy 8 came out a little bit after that. The Camphor came out after that. The Zeta Plus A1 came out a little bit after that. So you're not talking about, you know, massive amount of time in terms of technology, right? So, or in molding processes and stuff. So to see the Alex and how bad of a kit that was, and it was bad even when it came out, but obviously it hasn't aged any good at all. So, yeah, let's, fingers crossed, Master Grade Alex 2.0, right? Fingers crossed. I think we'll be waiting for a while, but who knows? Maybe Warren Pocket will have a anniversary coming up or something like that. Maybe we'll get spoiled. Maybe Bandai will make an Alex 2.0 and maybe a Camphor 2.0. Who knows? You know? But I'm not going to hold my breath, right? So, Robert LaFlash, have you seen the new Infinite Dimensions resin conversion for the NT1 Alex? Yeah, dude, I have. It goes on the, the ARC 7.8 Origin kit, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it looks amazing. We actually, I think we actually talked about that in a previous episode of Gunpla Talk. The only part I don't like about the Infinite Dimensions conversion kit are the legs. Well, not the legs, but the feet, actually. The feet are way too small. Way too small in proportion to everything else, right? They just look weird and out of place. It almost looks like it almost looks like the Alex is wearing bell bottoms that don't go all the way down. You know, it looks weird. So, oh, that's cool. You get caught up, Robert. Don't worry about it. Robert over on Facebook says he's a few episodes behind. Don't worry about it. No big deal. But yeah, we talked about that. And yeah, everything else above the ankles looks amazing. Amazing. It looks really great. I love their proportions. I love their details. Infinite Dimensions makes a bang up resin conversion kit. So that's awesome. That's awesome stuff. Let's see what else is going on over here on YouTube. You guys are getting some comments in. Chris Wu, Bandai's always looking for cost-saving method than actually make extra effort for improvement on existing runners. Yeah. You've got a valid point there, man. Valid point. So, you know, they're a business. I can understand that. You know, they're in it for the money, but we can dream, can't we? We can dream. Bailey says, that's my thoughts lately, too. I remember people hated the Master Grade GPO 1 years ago. I stayed away from it, but went ahead and got one because it's still my favorite version. You know what? I got the Master Grade GPO 1 back in the day, too. It was okay. It wasn't nearly as bad as the Alex. The proportions on the Master Grade GPO 1 I thought were pretty good. Some of the gimmicks that it had were really nice. Some of the details that it had were really nice. I obviously have scrapped it, and it's kind of ended up in my parts bins and stuff like that. But sometimes, I'll pull out a part here or there and use those. And yeah, it has good bones. It has good parts to it. And, again, if that's your favorite mech, then man, I mean, it's probably one of the best iterations of it. I've never worked on the real grade, but there's that too. So go with it. Chris Wu says, however, they did a pretty good job on the Robot Damashi Spirit line. I know of the Robot Damashi Spirit line, but I've not I'm not really into figures, It's just not my thing. Good thing we have the skill to customize it, though. You're damn right we do. You're damn right. And hopefully, by people watching this stream, maybe subsequent tutorial videos, they'll build that up and they'll get used to it, and then everything will be happy again. Robert over on Facebook says, one of these days I'll switch to YouTube to watch these streams. Man, don't worry. That's why we simulcast, man. We go on all three platforms to give people a choice. So, if you're into Twitch, watch it on Twitch. If you like it on Facebook, like it on Facebook. If you like it on YouTube, like it on YouTube. Because some people don't do Facebook, or some people don't do Twitch. Some people, surprisingly, don't do YouTube. I don't know why. Second largest search engine in the world. Why not do YouTube? It's great. So, all right. Let's get one last final look at this little guy right here. And then I think we're going to shut it down for the night. Let's get you super zoomed in. And bring it down into camera frame. There is what we're looking at. Now, obviously, this still needs a bit of cleanup, but you get the rough idea. That looks pretty good. Very mechanical looking. You can see that lateral or that horizontal latch there above the plastic sheet. It looks very, very nice. I dig it. let's strap it onto the part, and then let's get a gauge of what that looks like here. So we're going to get you zoomed back out. 1x. Turn off that ugly box. Back over here. Let's get that pulled up. Boom. Okay, so now we've got all of these pieces here. Let's get the side pieces on. And then let's get the cuff strapped on here. Like that. And there. There we go. Let's get this into the light a little bit so you can see. Man, look at that. That's cool right there. I mean, obviously, we need to do something right here on the cuff, and we'll do that on a later stream. But man, the transition, the overall aesthetic from here down to here just is really, really nice. I want to do just a little bit on this piece right here, just a bit, maybe a box or something, just very simple, right? And man, this whole piece just looks very cohesive. This piece will come later, and then obviously we'll get to work on the sides. And I want to do something special along each of these sides where the beam saber is held. I've got some ideas for that, but we'll explore that in another stream. And then obviously we need to duplicate that pattern on the back of the upper arm piece, the tricep side, if you will. So yeah, so I'm very happy with that, guys. I'm very, very happy. And you know what? This is not, even though this seems like heavy customization, to some it is, right? I personally, just along my own standards, don't really consider this heavy customization, right? I would more liken this to just, detail up, if we were to throw a term out there. Because these are simple details that anybody can do. You don't need crazy scratch building, skill sets or anything like that. You just need to be able to scribe and do some notches, maybe cut a piece of styrene here and there, just to tack on and make it look good. Maybe cutting out some pieces here, like with this this vent that we put on several streams ago. But man, these are simple details that almost anybody can do, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. It's a break from the norm, because when you get into doing something more along like these lines, this is customization. I mean, this is full on, converting a kit to some other iteration of that kit, right? Full conversion, a bunch of scratch building, especially on the chest and everything here. These little vents that you can hardly see down to the bottom, those are important details. But this type of thing is very different from just simple, simple details. Chris Wu says super detailing. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could see that, right? But these are simple things that pretty much anybody can do. And hopefully, watching the stream, you'll gain insight on exactly how to do them. So let's go back over to one camera, and we're going to just catch up finally with the stream. Robert over there on Facebook says looks really nice. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Great support from him as always. You got your shirts, right? I think they sent out, right? They should be. Robert also says, one of these days I'll... Oh, that was his comment from before. I'm not going to read that again. That's just rehashing old comments. So, yeah, you should be getting your shirts soon if you haven't already, because I know that I saw a shipment notification the other day on those. So, oh, you did? Rockin'. Nice. He says they're awesome. So happy about that, man. For those of you that don't know, Robert's awesome. He supports Child of Mecha big time. So I am eternally thankful for that. That's super awesome stuff, dude. Super awesome. You're the man, Robert. You're the man. If you never need anything, let me know. Hit me up. My time is your time. So, all right, let's go back over, switch it back to the YouTube, and let's get caught up there. Let's see. William Wilms, and I was hoping you would go for another 4 hours? Damn, dude. Nah, this is crazy, dude. Oh, look at that. Okay, so real quick, guys. Robert over there, he says he's wearing the Grim Reapers. He's representing the Reapers tonight. Good man. Good man. That's awesome. I love seeing that, dude. Love seeing that. That's great. But yeah, William, I'm not going for another 4 hours. Sorry, buddy. 3 and some change is probably good for me right now. But since I have a bachelor week coming up, you never know. There might be some bonus streams on here. I do want to try to get some videos shot finally. Now that I'm going to have some time, you know, by myself, to do that and everything. So you never know. Look for those things hopefully in the near future. So, all right. But guys, let's wrap this up, tie a bow around it. We got some cool detailing done today. We've got some arm work done. We've got a little bit of scribing work on that cowling on the back of the leg. Showed you how to do the scribing jig and everything, so that's pretty damn useful there. And Nothing But Mech 3 is the book that we showed you before, so check that out. Check the YouTube on YouTube and on Facebook right now. The description, there's an Amazon link. Check out all the tools that you saw me use. Check out the books that I've sourced for you guys. Great way to support the channel. Check out Child of Mecha store. I do love this shirt. It's an amazing shirt and a hat that my daughter wore the last stream too, with this same logo on it. So check that out. Don't forget to donate to the Gunpla Talk fundraiser, because if you donate, you have a chance to win this guy, this very model, right? And you're donating to a really good cause. Tomorrow, actually, which is already today, so basically the 11th, August 11th, is International Alopecia Areata Day. So if you have not donated, what more perfect day would there be to donate on than International Alopecia Day? It's a no-brainer, guys. It's a no-brainer. So if you haven't donated, enter. No minimums or anything like that, but give as much as you can. It goes to a really, really good cause that we're passionate about. We've partnered with USA Gundam Store. Obviously, Adam, is very passionate about that as well. So, man, give all you can to the Gunpla Talk fundraiser. Just do something good. Do something good. All right, guys. With that being said, my name is Tim, the one and only Child of Mecha. You've watched the Child of Mecha live stream, and we will see you next time, maybe over the weekend or something. If not, catch us on Monday, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. So, with that being said, guys, have an awesome weekend if I don't talk to you, and we'll see you next time. Take care.